It's a pleasure having you here on Joy News Prime. Now, the governing New Patriotic Party is calling out former flag bearer aspirant Alan Tremantin for misrepresenting and twisting facts in his public address, announcing his decision to resign and contest as independent candidate in the 2024 election. Now, the move has sent shockwaves through the political landscape, with a number of Alan's key supporters abandoning his independent bid. Now, General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kodua Frimpong, told journalists the move by Alan seemed premeditated, and whilst the party respect his decision to resign, they are disappointed in the manner he chose to go about it. Kwekwa Asante of our political desk report.
The leadership of the New Patriotic Party, alongside dozens of party supporters, took to their headquarters, singing and chanting. General Secretary of the party, Justin Frimpong Kodua, criticized Alan Tremantin for allegedly misrepresenting facts.
The disappointing part is the mode in which he decided to resign from the party, which was through a press conference without prior notice to the party. The party wants to believe that by his decision to hold a press conference to resign without first informing the leadership of the party suggests that he made a premeditated and irrevocable decision to resign from the party.
The party also took aims at claims by Alan Tremantin that the party's flag bearership race was skewed to favor a certain unnamed candidate.
The leadership of the party equally disagrees with the assertion made by Mr. Tremantin in page 8 of his resignation address that the party has been hijacked by a selected group of party leaders and elders and government appointees behind the curtain power brokers. Guided by the facts and data, the leadership of the party disagree entirely with this assertion. Historically, the selection of flag bearers for political parties in Ghana has been the preserve of a privileged few until the New Patriotic Party took the bold decision to decentralize the process by expanding its electoral college to enfranchise some 106,590 delegates in 2010. Currently, about 200,000 delegates will be voting to select the party's next flag bearer relative to the estimated 1,998 who did same in 1992. Clearly, the quantum leap to 200,000 delegates in 2023 and has caused the decentralization of power to all party stakeholders and defeat the assertion that the party has been hijacked by a privileged few.
On Alan's claim that his supporters were intimidated, the party strongly disagreed.
In reference to Mr. Tremantin's concerns, which include allegations of intimidation against his supporters, it is noteworthy that certain government appointees, including cabinet ministers, who openly declared their support for him, are still at post and have never been intimidated.
One of Alan Tremantin's biggest supporters was Katrina Fiku, but she says she can no longer support Alan in his decision to resign and go solo.
So I am a loyal patriot and I'm in the party.
I won't tell you about this decision.
No, I don't think we're here for that. I'm here to support the party, and I want to reiterate that again. The party is supreme. So let's send that message out there that we are the New Patriotic Party.
For now, the party says it is unfazed about claims Alan's decision to contest as an independent candidate will hurt its efforts at breaking the eight and will continue to rally its base to retain power in 2024.
Now, Acting Communication Director of the Alan Tremantin campaign team, Courage Nobi, joins me in studio for more. Courage, do we know these unscrupulous apparatchiks that Alan talked about? Who are these people?
Thank you very much, and good evening to you and your viewers. I think the Honorable Alan John Kodua Tremantin was very clear in his statement. He named categories of people. For us, it remains at that. They know themselves. And anybody who is following the discussion, can tell for himself the conduct of those unscrupulous people. So for us, it is not a matter for debate. It is clear, and it's out there, and they know themselves. And the reactions, I'm sure yourself, from the reactions, you can tell. For us, that's a tell set. The Honorable Alan John Kojo Chamate is an honorable person. Everybody in Ghana can attest to his honorability. Everybody in Ghana can attest to his character, his consistency and credibility. For us as young people, that is what we're excited about. That in the midst of all the political shenanigans, we have one who has a long track record of character, credibility, and competence, backed with a bold vision, which is a great transformational plan for the development of this country. And that is why we excitedly mounted a support behind him as our leader to make sure that we bring what we call the government of national unity that would deliver for us the transformation that the Ghanaian society is looking for.
Is it the position of the Alan team just to put this out without putting names to those people?
I think the Honorable, when he finds it fit, will name such people by himself. So for that, we'll leave it for him. His judgment is what we trust in, and we support him.
No, but we know Alan is a very fine gentleman.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people are raising concerns over the fact that he's not able to name the people he described as this apparatus. He should be bold to tell Ghanaians who these people are.
I wouldn't say he's not able. I think one of the things that we've known him for is discretion. He's a man of high discretion, and he's decided to exercise that on this matter. For us, we're excited as young people. Let me tell you, our social media is abuzz with young people, apolitical, both political, reaching out, wanting to be part of the movement for change. They want their country better managed. They want their country run well. Young people admit that there is no way to have a sustainably corrupt country. And so they want a credible leader, and they find that leader in Honorable Alan John Kojo Chamate. I find that leader in him, and that is why I've jumped behind him, and we are willing to work as a grassroots of the Ghanaian society to ensure that he becomes president.
So beyond making the announcement, what is the way forward for the Alan campaign team? What is next?
Thank you very much. Today marks day one of the movement for change. There's a massive mobilization ongoing. A lot of people are putting themselves and volunteering to play several roles. In the coming weeks and days, just as he said, we will launch formally the movement for change and launch a bold campaign at the community level, at the grassroots level, to ensure that at the end of the day, our leader, the Honorable Alan John Kojo Chamate, emerges as president of this country, so that we can have consensus around a development plan which he has put forward for the transformation of the Ghanaian society.
Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
That was Courage and Nobe. He is the acting communication director for Alan's team. Now, moving on, the spouses of presidential candidates have typically played varied roles on the campaign trail in modern presidential campaigns. While some have taken a laid-back role, others have been more visible and vocal. Now, what role will Mrs. Tremantin play in the upcoming presidential candidature of her husband? What was her demeanor during the event, and what has she been saying about her husband's journey so far? In this feature, Joy News contributor Eche Sekanko takes a look at Mrs. Alan Tremantin's new role as an independent presidential spouse and what we expect from her in the journey ahead.
Mrs. Tremantin sang, danced and chanted in support of her husband during the launch of his independent presidential candidature announcement. The usually quiet, laid-back and hardly seen spouse of Mr. Tremantin was animated, energized and vociferous during the announcement event. Presidential spouses have emerged as a major part of the presidential campaign in modern politics. From Michelle Obama to Melania Trump to Rebecca Akufo-Addo and Lordina Mahama, the wives of presidential candidates have assumed varied and multiple roles. While some have been less active and laid back, others have been more outspoken. During her husband's historic announcement of his independent presidential candidature, Mrs. Tremantin was unusually active, animated and spirited. Sounding hopeful and decisive, she maintained that her husband is the best person to take the country forward.
Alan Tremantin is a good man, he's the honest man, he's the man with vision, he's what Ghana needs.
Together with other supporters, she did not hold back in her support for her husband's big day. It appeared Mrs. Chemantin had discovered a new lease of life with her husband's fresh status. Will we see more of Mrs. Chemantin in the coming months? Will she begin to assume a more active role in her husband's campaign? We can only wait and see the nature of her role as the campaign unfolds moving forward. Eche Sikanku for Joy News.
Now, Minister of National Security Albert Dapaah has filed a defamation suit against the convener of the Feed the Country movement, Oliver Barker-Vormawor. Now, the suit comes in response to allegations made by Mr. Barker-Vormawor that the National Security Minister and other government officials met with him in 2021, offering a sum of $1 million to silence him. Now, Mr. Dapaah is demanding the recovery of 10 million Ghana cedis as general damages, including aggravated and or exemplary damages for defamation for the words uttered by Mr. Barker-Vormawor. Now, a member of our legal desk, Richard Kojo-Nyako, has a copy of the suit and joins us with detail. But first, listen to Mr. Barker-Vormawor indicating that he will produce a recording of the event to back his allegations.
Myself and my lawyers will put out a statement in much clearer detail. Now, I want to be clear. At no point have I said that I have a video of the interaction between myself and the Minister for National Security.
Sorry, you said a recording. A recording.
Yes. The Minister of National Security has issued a statement claiming that I was met with other Feed the Country conveners and other stakeholders. I want to put it on record that the meeting I am talking about happened exclusively between myself and the Minister for National Security. Now, the offer was made to me. I will release an audio into the public domain, which would confirm that the Minister invited me to a secret safe house location, that we should have an individual meeting between him and myself, at which meeting he made that offer to myself. No other Feed the Country convener was involved in. Another secret meeting was held with myself and two lawyers representing Feed the Country, including the Minister of Finance, which was held. We have a recording of the entirety of that meeting as well. But what I'm saying and want to be clear on, that a secret meeting was held between myself and the Minister for National Security at a safe house.
Now, Richard Kojo-Nyako joins us via Zoom. Richard, please, you have been studying this suit. Tell us what's in there.
Okay, well, so the minister is seeking 5 reliefs. The first is a declaration that the words uttered by the defendant are defamatory to the plaintiff, that is the National Security Minister. He goes ahead to provide the details of the said defamatory statement. The second is recovery of the sum of 10 million Ghana cedis in damages. The third is an apology for and retraction of the words complained of. The fourth one is perpetual injunction restraining the defendant from repeating similar or other defamatory words against him, the National Security Minister. And the last one is other costs as well. So in the suit, the minister says, per the words spoken by the defendant, it means that he, the minister, is corrupt, that he undertakes criminal acts of offering bribes and threats, and also abuses his office. And so if you look at the particulars of the suit, they are spelled out here that the defendant had absolutely no basis whatsoever for this defamatory statement, that the defendant was absolutely reckless by his defamatory statement, as he showed no scintilla of evidence to support the defamatory statement. The third one is plaintiff has never had any other meeting with the defendant beyond the aforementioned second meeting, whether alone or in concert with others. And so these are contained in the suit that has been filed by the Minister for National Security.
Okay, so, and how has Barker-Vormawor been reacting to this suit so far?
So there hasn't been any release of the said recording that he said he was going to release to back his claims. But in a Facebook post, he indicated that I have resolved upon the advice of lawyers to file a formal criminal complaint against the Minister for National Security. And this will be made to the special prosecutor in connection with the corruption advances against him. And so that is the Facebook post that was made by Mr. Barker-Vormawor.
Thank you so much. Richard Kojo-Nyako is here with us, joining us room. Now, away from that story, the children of a 60-year-old woman, Musa Azaratu Puana, who was shot dead at Janga in the West Mamprosi municipality of Northeast region on allegations of being a witch, are crying for justice. Now, the attackers have been identified as Fatal and Abila. The perpetrators, who are siblings, are accused and threatened to kill Musa Azaratu for inflicting their father with a sickness. According to the children of the deceased, the two brothers came to their house on Sunday morning, dragged their mother out of a room and shot her dead at close range. Correspondent Elias Utanko reports.
It was a sorrowful moment at the premises of the Wale Wale Government Hospital in the Northeast region when the family of Musa Azaratu Puana gathered to retrieve her remains for burial. She is the second elderly woman to have been killed in the same region over a similar accusation of witchcraft, despite the passage of the anti-witchcraft bill by Parliament in July this year. Musa Azaratu was targeted and brutally shot dead at her home in the Janga community, where she had been accused by two siblings of being a witch. According to Joy News sources, the two brothers, Abila and Fatal, had accused the woman of being responsible for the sickness of their father, whom they had sent to a nearby village for treatment. On Saturday, the two brothers reportedly stormed the house of Musa Azaratu to warn her about their father's condition and declared their intention to kill her if their father failed to recover. Joy News further learned that a different man in the same village died. But the two brothers received false information that their father had passed on. So, acting on false information, the two brothers carried guns and marched to the house of the 60-year-old woman. Eyewitnesses say they dragged her out of a room and shot her multiple times at close range. Abila and Fatal fled the Janga community and have since been in hiding. The body was conveyed for a post-mortem examination and later preservation at the Wale Wale Government Hospital. The body has been released to the family for burial. Speaking to Joy News at the hospital, a teenage daughter of Musa Azaratu witnessed the last moment of her mother and recounted how she was gruesomely killed.
We were just in the room. That was around 4 o'clock. The guy came to, he gave a warning shoot. So he came inside the room, dragged my mother out, sent her to the entrance of our house, shoot her. So after the shooting, the senior brother came and told him that he wanted to pick the slippers in our house too. He left the slippers and he wanted to go back and pick the slippers. And the brother said he should leave the slippers and come out and they go. So they came out and they picked the motorbike and left. I want them to arrest him so that and jail him. That is what I want. Because the pain, I can't even explain the pain.
Another child of the deceased, Musa Hamza, a second-year student of Yendi Nursing Training College, lamented the death of her mother. He is calling on the police to act swiftly.
I'm pleading with the security agencies to arrest them. And anybody who sees them, they should alert all the security agents so that they will come after them. So that is my announcement, because my mother, what he was to do to me, in fact, he did not do anything.
He was the one
taking care of my school fees and everything. And this is the case that they killed my mother. So what am I'm even wondering, second semester, what am I going to pay my school fees again? So I'm pleading with the security agents, whenever they see them, they should arrest them. Sumana Abila and Sumana Abdel Fattah.
Meanwhile, police in the region have confirmed the report has been filed at their station in Wale Wale. The police, however, wouldn't give details of the case. Nonetheless, Joy News can confirm the police in Wale Wale are yet to make any arrest.
Meanwhile, the head of Joy News Human Rights Desk, Jojo Kobna, and the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa, NGO based in the Gambia, have dragged the government of Ghana to African court over violation of the human rights of women in so-called witch camps. They are demanding provision of support services for victims of witchcraft, including rehabilitation, counseling, and safe reintegration into their families and communities. The interim head of the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa, Edmond Foley, joins me live with more details on this particular suit. So, Edmond, what are the details in your suit? Kindly unmute your device so we can hear you.
Yes, am I audible now?
Sure.
Right, thank you. And condolences to the family of the woman who has just passed. But just to quickly note that, yes, the Institute for Human Rights and Development in Africa, together with Mr. Kobna, undertook a mission about 3 years ago to look at the situation of women in the witch camps. Now, the African Court is a forum which Ghana, as a respected member of the international community and also a member of the African Union, has signed on to this judicial body to look into some of these issues. And so we've gone to the African Court. The court has a particular interest, of course, in the implementation of the Women's Protocol in Africa, called the Maputo Protocol. And as it's indicated in the suit, it's essentially to look at the treatment of women in these camps. Now, much as efforts have been made to close the camps, we also are realistic that should the women be sent back to their communities, they face greater harm. So this is really to get the government to, of course, work towards the criminalization, which happily has been done. Parliament has passed the act awaiting presidential assent, but then also to ensure that apart from protecting the women in the camps, that such acts of criminality are also investigated and punished severely. So that is really the essence of, yes, this engagement at the African Court.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you another time for details of this particular suit. We are so grateful. Now, moving on, some residents in some parts of the capital are still bearing the brunt of last Friday's heavy downpour. Many residents of Akwetiman and Glefe are unable to access their rooms, which are filled with stagnant pools of water. Now, affected residents still counting their losses are pleading with the government to deal with the perennial flooding situation. There's more in the following report.
The Accra residents are terrified by heavy rains because of the recurring flooding situation. Some parts of the city remain flooded after Friday's heavy downpour. At Akwetiman, Pentecost Church area, part of a bridge linking various parts of the community has been destroyed by the raging floods. Drivers are only able to use just one part of the road. Some residents and road users shared their frustration.
I live at Pokwase, and because of sometimes the traffic on the main road, you see, when we get to the Achimota ABC, this is the other alternative that we use to go to office. So after the downpour, that was the evening time. When I was going home, I got to that point and then realized that part of the road has been tear off. We want them to fix it quickly. We want them to fix the road quick for us, because when you get to that place, because of the traffic situation on the main road, in fact, this is the only alternative route.
Friday no inso na etoye no na sadene isi ye. Chese efa bridge ne so nyina overflow efa bridge ne so nyina car ebi timi nko ebi intimi.
This happened last Friday when it rained. In fact, the rain submerged the entire road such that none of the cars could move.
Na me mofra no etimi yi ni kuta no a agu okwan ne mu no a sisi ka etimi fa so kakra akra. Problem a ewo ho enyina ene se bridge no covered.
This particular part of the bridge has been ripped off, making it impossible for vehicles to move. And so yesterday, my workers took some quota off the road to make it accessible.
Glefe, a flood-prone area, is still flooded. Many rooms were flooded from Friday's rains. The residents had moved out of their homes and later came to salvage their properties. Some were still washing their clothes soaked in the flood.
Right now, we don't have drainage here. It's at the junction day. all the water is standing here. This the small thing we have seen that. When it starts to rain again right now, as me and you are standing here, you have to search for some place to hide. And where are we going to run to? So we are pleading on them.
When it rains, there's no drainage here, so used to standing waters for 3 days. When the sun shines, everything goes off. The assemblyman used to pave way for the water. So he's trying for us very much. When the rain started, all these places will be flooded. But when he paved the way and hoping the gutter, all the water goes.
And 5 times.
The lady has scooped the flood water for about 5 times today. She wasn't able to go to work as a result. So how is she going to feed herself? We need to be at home to protect our property.
The affected persons are calling for governmental intervention to drastically address the perennial flooding menace.
Now moving on, the Savannah Regional Minister Said Mahozo Jibril has assured the chiefs and people of Wipe in the Savannah region of government readiness to get to the bottom of the current cause of flooding situation. He said if the Bui Dam Authority is denying knowledge of the flood, the only option is for the government to investigate and address it once and for all. Now, Said Mahozo Jibril addressed the media after he visited some of the affected communities. He tasked the Central Gonja District Assembly to lead the process of permanently relocating residents in the affected zones. Now, speaking on the distribution of relief items, the regional minister said the government was still mobilizing some items to bring to the victims. He added that a donation from the Vice President's office will be distributed soon.
I think that there's a need for us to look at the way forward so that these people don't go through this suffering that they are going through almost all the time.
I was just trying to ask, what have we learned from this current one? Because it has happened before this one.
Yeah, it's a very bad experience. It is the only way is for us to relocate. So I'm going to lay sample there. You see, I'm here with the entire Central Gonja District Assembly, technocrats, the politicians, everybody is here with us so that we'll make sure that the right decisions are taken, particularly those who have started constructing new houses. You know, when we're on top of the water, you realize that some people have started even constructing new houses. We are going to stop them from further construction. It's so sad that you have school children. We are just fortunate that this school is on vacation. If this school reopens and these flood waters have not receded, where are the school children going to attend school? So it's going to affect almost everything. You can see clearly that it is also a health issue. One of the public toilets has completely been submerged inside the water, and this can cause a lot of waterborne diseases to the people who are living around there.
And as for the relief items, we are told that there's something on the pipeline, or you brought something for them.
Yes, we have brought by the close of the day because of the urgency of the situation. I needed to come and see firsthand what the people are going through. We are organizing some food items, rice and some oil. We brought some bottled water from the office of the Vice President for now. However, we are liaising up with NADMO and the authorities that matter. In the next 2-3 days, we would have gotten something for them officially from the Ministry of what we call the National Security Ministry and the NADMO office.
You're still watching Joy News Prime with me, Carlos Keloni. We'll take a break. We'll return with more. Please stay with us.